Howdy guys, Kirk and Sons here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. We're going to show you folks today is a fella here emailed me this area here, and I was able to look at it and give him a price, and here we are to do it. What we're going to do today first is we're simply just going to lath this. And what that means is he put the 2x6s on it, and he put it on top of a membrane already. This is says Lowe's, so it's obviously a Lowe's membrane. We are going to simply disregard this membrane and put two more over it and under it. The fella here, he's done a nice job because you see he's got a Z flashing up here. A Z flashing here, a Z flashing here. We're going to put two more layers on top here, go up to the fascia board or the eaves, and we're going to break out. Jay and Dan are going to break out. I have a couple of these bulldogs. I'm kind of partial to these guys here. If we got to do breakout, I've had every breakout tool known to man. And when we break out, we're going to break out about a ½ inch at a time. Just a little bit here, a little, and keep going back until we can get some good paper and good wire. Anyhow, when we get started, we'll show you how we do that, because a lot of folks say, gee, I don't know how to break out. So we'll show you how to break out. You take one of these guys here, and they're kind of noisy and they're not good for that camera there. You don't start way back here. You start a ½ inch here and you work your way back like this. If you start right here, all you're doing is you're going to be left with a whole bunch of big rocks. That makes it difficult to plaster with all that stuff. Anyhow, we're going to get started and we'll show you how we do it. All right, guys. These guys are doing the breakout. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I'll let these guys finish while I go do something really important.
Okay guys, we're done with that nasty breakout, but before I get away from it, I wanted to show you a couple things. We're dealing with the stud house. Now the biggest deal with the stud house is doing breakout. How do you push on the cement without damaging the paper behind it? It helps if you have two people, which I can't show you because Dan's cameraing, but you get a shovel like this and very carefully get it up behind the stucco, and then you can use your bulldog to break that bit of stucco out. And be careful not to break the paper behind it, of course, because then what's the point? Now, a couple of things you got to look for when you're finished breaking out. We got to pull these staples so that we can pull this wire up and out of the way so that our new paper goes over this existing paper, and then we're going to wire it, and then we put these wires down on top of the new wire. You have to have crossover wire, otherwise you're going to get a perimeter crack. You ideally want 2 to 3 inches. You settle for 1.5 inches if that's all you're going to get. Alright, we're going to paper and wire this up, and we'll show you that when we're done.
Okay guys, let me show you something kind of important. This membrane that the fella put on here, we're using it just as a window flash. So I took my 2 new layers and went as high under here as possible, then we tacked this down. Because the city wants to see 2 layers. So we are giving them 2 layers, and it's just as easy to put 2-ply paper because these are spot glued together than just try to put 1 more layer. When I get into something like this, I fold it, and then I could bend it over too, but I fold it, and we cut it right at that line there, and we put a couple tacks in it, hammer tack to hold it down, and of course we're going to put a fat bead of caulk and infuse this. Here the same thing, we're taking the side here, and we just push it in here, tuck it in there and tack that down. Show you one last thing here too. Okay, as Jay said, we pull back the wire, otherwise if we don't crisscross it like that, we will get a hairline crack. No matter how well you plaster, you'll get that hairline crack if you do not tie the new wire to the old. And I'll tell you guys something, even if you tie it, sometimes with the 2-coat system, you can still get that perimeter crack. stucco cracks, guys. Unfortunately, no matter if you do everything by the rules, you can still get hairline cracks. I do get a lot of folks call me and say, here's another way you guys can do it. You could bend this right here. I don't like to bend it too much, but I'm just showing you folks for the sake of what you can do. You can do it just like that. Put it here. The city will allow this too, but when I do that, now my caulking here kind of beads up unless I really get this tight. That's why you always see me cutting it right here. My son says, well, Dad, why don't you just bend it? And if I bend it now, I got to put a little fatter bead of caulking here, so we always cut it. Anyhow, we're going to do the wire next. Take our new paper under this existing paper here. Real simple. So when we do the wire, we'll show that last piece too. Okay, guys, we're going to put a conclusion on this. Quick tip. Dan says, Dad, how are you going to get that wire in there? I said, I'm not. Fortunately, I use a lot of corner aid, and I got a humongous truck. So I have 20, 30 of these on the truck at all times. So I said, get me one. So he brought me a corner aid. I opened it up. We just, like this, open it up. Slam it in here and put another one. You close it up and put it here. Quick way to do it. Of course, costs a little bit more that way, but faster. Another thing I do with these corner aids is excess ones. When they're bent, we step on them. We don't throw them away. I tied this wire into this wire, but I also put another piece of wire down it because we don't want that perimeter crack. And keep recalling that I say no matter what you do, you can still get a perimeter crack. That's natural. Okay, last thing. We're using the caulking to seal all the way around. And man, I usually like to use these polyurethanes. I'm kind of fond of this Sikaflex stuff because it works. But it's a cold day today. And you really got to pump it when it gets cold. Here's one last tip, guys. Take some paper, fold it 5, 6, 7 times. And we're going to put an inch of stucco on here. So this is going to be covered up. But another thing to do is don't use your finger to smear this caulking. And see if you can get this right here, Jay. I'll take this piece of paper and I'll pull it because that embeds it a little bit better where now no water can get between this and underneath here. And if I use my finger, the wire will poke it, and sometimes I poke the bone, so we don't do that anymore. Well, we don't have to. And this nasty stuff here, if you get it on you, it's a nightmare to get off. You've got to use gas or something like that. Anyhow, guys, we are in the stud every 6 inches. We are keyed properly on the wire where it's self-furred, meaning we can use staples. Hope you learned something here. My name is Kirk, Jay on the camera, and Dan's going to clean up this mess. Anyhow, folks, we thank you for watching, and as usual, we'll see you guys on the next one.